How's it going, and welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we're going to be servicing a package unit where we came out probably about a month ago where the system wasn't operating properly and it was a little bit low on charge and we were super busy, so we just topped it off at the moment. So today we're coming back, we're going to investigate where the leak is coming from. Hopefully we can actually find it, get it repaired, and weigh the charge back in so that way they're good to go. Let's do some work. All right, so this is the unit we're working on today. It's an Ameristar heat pump package unit. I actually installed this, I think it's been a couple of years now. So again, we came out about a month ago and just topped it off to get them going. And we're just now finally getting back to see what's going on. And to be honest with you, my gut feeling is that it was one of the Schrader cores leaking. And then once we hooked our gauges up to top it off, it probably reset it. But because we haven't had any issues whatsoever, but we'll find out here in a moment. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to go ahead and recover all the refrigerant out of the system and go ahead and do a really high pressure test. So we'll go ahead and hook up the dry nitrogen and do a good pressure test. And instead of trying to waste a bunch of time trying to find a leak with the electronic leak detector, so it holds 5 pounds and 5 ounces. So, and what I'm going to do, because I don't know how much we lost, and I don't know, because it's a blended refrigerant, I don't know which part was lost. So what I'm going to do is we're just going to recover everything that's there, and we're going to weigh in virgin refrigerant so we know the mixture is going to be right for the new refrigerant. So let's get started. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to weigh how much refrigerant that we're going to be removing to give me an idea if the system has been leaking from when we were back here last time. Even though I just weighed the charge in, or no, I'm sorry, I didn't weigh it in. Even though I just topped it off last time and we got the pressures where they were supposed to be, I don't know that if it was perfectly charged, if it was slightly overcharged or slightly undercharged. I don't really know that. So anyhow, by weighing what we take out, that's going to give me a good indication of how close we are to the full capacity of the refrigerant that it's supposed to have. You know, it's just another way of double checking to say, yep, we are 1 pound low, 2 pounds low, whatever, and we know we still have a leak that we need to be looking for. If it's pretty much close, spot on, then we might have gotten lucky and it was a Schrader cores. So, but anyway, that's what I'm going to do, is go ahead and get this thing recovered and weigh all of the refrigerant that we take out. All right, so this is Fieldpiece's latest refrigerant scale, the SWR47 Job Link scale. So this thing comes in a really nice carrying bag with a shoulder strap, which is really nice. But the scale itself is it's super rugged and robust. You can tell by looking at it with this non-skid platform here for the actual tank, so it won't just slide around on you. But on this particular model, you can really see that they just beefed up the device here. It's really nice. And of course, you got the built-in display where it just comes strapped into the back. Now with this particular model compared to the last version, this is a lot smaller and it's really clean looking. I really like it. And not only that, it has this adjustable magnetic mount to it. So now you can just mount it to wherever you need to, whether it's going to be on a vertical orientation or on the side, just like this. So I really like that. So this scale can hold up to 252 pounds of weight. It is water resistant and it's also Job Link compatible, which means you can wirelessly sync this up to either your S-Man gauges or the Job Link app with up to 1,000 feet of wireless range, which is fantastic. All right, so our empty tank is 17.1 pounds. Which typically it says it on the actual tank anyway, but I'm going to go ahead and zero that out. So now we're starting fresh. Love that magnetic remote there. All right, let's get this thing running. All right, so we are down into the negatives a little bit, and it looks like we got a little over 3 pounds. So that's a little over 2 pounds shy of what it should have. So I'm going to go ahead and disconnect everything, remove the tank, zero out the scales, and then remeasure. I want to see if this thing weighs 20 pounds. I don't know why I do that. It's just something I like to do just to make sure that everything is reading correctly. $20 pounds on the dot. So yep, we did remove 3 pounds. So now it's time to pressure test with some dry nitrogen, and let's see what we can find. When it comes to pressure testing, what I like to do is check the nameplate, and it'll tell you what the factory design pressure is. So on this one, we have high side is 550 and the low side is 250. But because this is a heat pump, the high side is actually on both the outdoor coil and indoor coil, so you don't really have to worry about over pressurizing as far as the 250 and the 550 goes. So what I do is I'm going to go ahead and pressure test a 550 and see what we got. I'm going to go ahead and put this in a test tightness mode. All right, so I'm going to let this run for a good 10 or 15 minutes, and it's going to calculate how much PSI that we drop, if we do, which we should, in that time period. So now, sometimes these things will drop maybe like a half a PSI. That's not going to be a leak. These things are so sensitive. So at 550 PSI in 15 minutes, I mean, we should see quite a few PSI drop, if not even more than that, when you actually have a leak. So keep that in mind if you're using digital gauges, is they are very sensitive, and you're able to read 1/10 of a PSI. So typically with a analog gauges or compound gauges, you wouldn't even be able to notice that on the gauge itself. So just keep that in mind. Yeah, so if you guys are in the market of picking up a refrigerant scale, I do recommend the SWR47 Job Link scale. I really do like this scale. Again, it's super rugged, and the remote on it has that magnetic base to it, which is, just something that simple. It's very handy to have. That way you've got it right where you want it. It's not going to fall and get damaged. And then of course, having it to where you can put it in the backside to store it where you don't lose it is a fantastic idea as well. But just like anything that Fieldpiece makes, it's just super high quality, and you're getting a good product. So again, if you're in the market for picking up a scale, check out the SWR47. All right, it has been 15 minutes and it's only dropped 1 PSI. It's actually been going from 0.9 to 1 PSI back and forth. So again, in my mind, at 550 PSI, if we had a leak, it would be dropping down consistently. So that's where I'm a little bit confused, because we were 2 pounds shy when we recovered all the refrigerant. And I'm not quite sure why. The system does not have an accumulator, so it's not holding refrigerant anywhere that's trapped, at least that I'm aware of. So if you guys have any answers to that, or any recommendations on why this possibly could be happening, leave them down in the comment section below. I'd appreciate it. But at this point, I mean, I'm pressurizing it to 550, and it's held for over 15 minutes now. So I feel good about it. I guess on a secondary way to check is when I pull a vacuum with my micron gauge, we'll make sure that it holds a decay test. But other than that, I'm just gonna rock with it and get this thing charged back up and just go from there. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and test the oil of the pump real quick before we get started, just by hooking up a micron gauge and making sure that it gets below, 100 microns, and we know our oil is still good to move forward. All right, so what I'm going to do is I've removed the core on the low pressure side, so that's going to be attached to the biggest side of the system as far as the largest diameter piping. And then I went ahead and replaced the core on the high side port, and then I'm going to go ahead and hook up my micron gauge to that side. And we're using a 3/4 inch diameter hose, vacuum rated hose with a 1/2 inch connection at the pump. So this is going to flow very nicely, and least amount of connections as possible is best when it comes to pulling vacuums. So that's why I like to do a one hose setup, especially on smaller systems. And not to mention that this particular area is a little bit tight to get everything in here, so this should work out well. All right, so everything's connected. This valve is shut. We're gonna go ahead, open up the gas ballast and turn it on. All right, so change of plans. I decided to go ahead and hook up both hoses because it was running kind of slow, and I think it's just sometimes it's best to connect on both sides. That way if a valve or something is kind of closed down, we'll be able to pull equally from both sides. So anyhow, that's just what we decided to do. It's a little tight, but we got it. And right now we're pulling down. So obviously doing it this way, you want to let it run for a good 15 or 20 minutes and then valve off the core tools. That way you can get an accurate reading on that micron gauge. All right, so it's been a little over 25 minutes now. We're at 600 microns, and it is shut off there, so that is reading true microns on the system, not from the actual vacuum pump. So I think I'm gonna go ahead and go into the decay test now. Make sure that it holds, and we should be good. Now we wait about 10 minutes. Okay, so we got the vacuum pump removed and all the hoses, and it's been about 10 to 15 minutes now, and we went up just a few microns. So I'm feeling pretty good about this. We're gonna go ahead and hook up the manifold and weigh in 5 pounds, 5 ounces, and get this started up. Well, that's going to complete today's video, guys. I really hope you got something out of it. If you would have done something differently on this particular repair, let me know down in the comment section below. But give it a thumbs up if you liked it, if you got something out of it, and subscribe if you haven't already. Until next time, we'll see you guys later.